the bus stop. But we are starting a little tour here as I join you at, yes, get away now, Michael. Yeah, good. At the museum quarter. Look at all these people waiting for culture. Well, some of them are, but many of these people here on the left are waiting to be whisked away by the Angelina Jolie Adoption Agency, which sweeps past once a day, kind of like the rat catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Now, folks, this is the Natural History Museum in London. I've been in London for 20 years. We're blessed. We've got close to 200 museums. This is the Natural History to your left-hand side, and we've got so many free museums, open from 10 in the morning until 6 p.m. So we're having a camera debate. 7 days per week. And in fact, just up this street on the left-hand side, there's a second museum. It's the Science Museum. It's futuristic, it's interactive, it's hands-on, it's free. And then a third museum. You can never have too many. This is the Victorian Albert Museum, coming up on the left-hand side. Everything you could ever want from a museum and a little bit more. There's furniture, there's sculpture, there's paintings, there's textiles, and you got a free afternoon. Oh, maybe we'll take you to some museums, etc. But it's all here. The subway station is called South Kensington. Just on the right-hand side, this little green shed, that's where I live with my grandmother. No, that's not. Hopefully you'll get used to my sense of humour, which has been described as dry enough to choke a camel. Those little sheds are really refreshment kiosks for the London taxi drivers. And they're actually historic listed buildings. And look at this lovely church to the left-hand side, completed in 1884. It's a Catholic church called the Brompton Oratory Church. Mike, I didn't see any of your group taking notes, but there is a 400 question test and exam which will conclude our tour. And if you don't get enough of the questions right, we're priming the ejector seats. You'll be out of here. No, but you will be out of here for a little break. What we'll do is we'll do some driving, see some sights, and we'll get off and have a little break at St Paul's Cathedral, one of London's historic landmarks. And people come to London for a variety of things. There's the history, the architecture, the famous people, and the shopping. And what is the world's most famous store, Team Florida? Yeah, there's that too. Yeah, what's the world's most famous one in Florida? Oh, we don't have that. The world's most famous store is coming up on the right. It's called the Gap. They start you off with Baby Gap, and then they no, that's not. I like the Gap, but you are quite right. It is Harrods store. It's on this very avenue. It's a flagship store, and it's got flags all along it. And even the store was sold last year for £1.5 billion. It's coming up on the right-hand side, and it had quite humble beginnings. Initially, it was a grocery store, which moved from East London here to West London in 1849. And it's now said that you can purchase anything from this store coming up on the right-hand side. Anything. Except for personality or a high IQ. So I stopped shopping there. There's 330 different departments. And obviously if you need to get your Learjet and your Fabergé egg and your grand piano, look no further than Harrods store. And if you are travelling later on this afternoon to this district using our public transport network, we've got 270 different underground stations. The one just here for all the big shopping in this neighbourhood is called Knightsbridge. Just imagine 2 knights doing battle on a bridge to get to the Harrods sale. And there's lots of stores all the way along here. And also, I'm sure in Florida real estate is expensive. In London, it's crazy. And at the end of this avenue, we probably have the most expensive real estate in the world, because there's a new apartment complex, flats, condos, call them what you will, we call them flats. And in this complex, the penthouse flat was sold for £135 million. Now you might be thinking, yeah, just here, you might be thinking, Michael, that's not where you haven't bought that, have you? Our driver's keeping it low key here. But you might be thinking, Sean, I don't need the penthouse. What about a smaller little 1-bedroom apartment? £6 million. And you need never leave the apartment complex, because you've got the shops at the bottom, you've got Burberry on the left hand side, but the shops at the bottom of this apartment complex, which I'm going to point out, on the ground floor you can buy a Rolex watch, or you can buy a McLaren sports car. And you'll be thinking, Sean, all that money, what do you get? Well, you get bulletproof glass, that's always useful. You get retina scans in the elevator, you got special forces, train security, you've got a panic room. I think if you spend £135 million on an apartment, you may want to panic. But that's just here, just beyond the traffic lights, at this contemporary development, just here at Knightsbridge. So let me just drill a bit the McLaren sports car. That bus is in the way. Michael, prime the torpedo launcher. Take that vehicle out of the equation. Ooh, OMG, as you would say in America. Now, coming up on the left, they've also got fancy neighbours. There's a 5-star hotel. Just coming up here to the left beside the Rolex shop and the apartment complex, and some celebrities stay at this hotel. So Will Smith, Jade Pinkett Smith, Bruce Willis, I share a stylist team with Bruce, Beyonce. In fact, when Beyonce was staying in London, she was at that hotel and she wanted to go shopping at the department store opposite, which is a glamorous boutique store. Now Beyonce's people, I guess, they said, Beyonce, you don't cross the road. So her and her people, they got in their cars. It was a one-way traffic system. It was a very busy traffic day, and it took Beyonce 45 minutes to get across the street. And I was like, we could have just danced together to Halo. And she slapped me. Look at those cars on the right-hand side. Yeah, if you want to buy a very expensive car, Maserati or the like, get yourself to London. We've got 23 billionaires that live in London and numerous millionaires. Michael, if you see them, ram them. Hear the voices shouting, kill, kill, kill. The way I do, guide, guide, guide. Now, another 5-star hotel in this avenue is coming up on the right-hand side. I can see a Maserati or something parked outside. It's called the Lanesborough, and also obscured behind the taxi cab, it's got its own Rolls Royce. So if you wanted to stay for one night in the suite of this hotel coming up on the right, that'll set you back £7,500 a night. That's cozy. All our Florida team, they're like, Sean, let me off here, I'm checking in. And in fact, I could thank everyone from the US. You've given us Krispy Kreme's donuts. That's special. Well, if the world was covered in chocolate sprinkles, it would be quite a place. Although you will notice as we drive around London, we've got more Starbucks